Hello again. We are back for the second part. Let's start with a presentation by Tom Bregman about FutureFit Business as a navigation toolkit aligned with backcasting. So Tom Bregman is the head of corporate engagement at FutureFit Foundation that has been leading the development of a science-based next generation tool to act as a compass and equip business leaders with an integrated set of business goals towards net zero impacts and positive pursuits. So hello, Tom. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you to everyone in the team for inviting me to speak this afternoon. What I want to do is very briefly introduce you to the FutureFit Business Benchmark, how it can be used as a tool for backcasting, specifically thinking about how businesses can think long-term about environmental and social issues and chart a course for them to be resilient in the 21st century. So where I want to start is with the future in mind. We're a charity, we're based in London, and everything that we do is focused and starts from the endpoint, what we define as a future fit society. And that's a society that is environmentally restorative, economically inclusive, and socially just. So everything that we do starts with this endpoint in mind. We have a set of 8 future fit properties. On the right-hand side, you can see those in blue, orange, and purple. And these really are the properties that we would expect to see in a future fit society. And these will probably come as no surprise to anyone in the auditorium today. Waste does not exist. Energy is renewable and available to all. And for those of you who have read about donut economics, Kate Raworth's economic theory, this is all about how we can manage our economy to be in that safe and just space for humanity. So everything that we do is around keeping businesses and society at large within that donut. So we work with large and small businesses to road test guidance and tools. And they give us feedback, and we've worked with businesses like The Body Shop, Maersk, Chanel, who help us test and ensure that what we create is fundamentally fit for their use. We're not going off on our own kind of research solely and coming back with a solution. It's around collaboration with business as much as it is encouraging them to take robust action. So what do I mean when I talk about backcasting, and how does this differ from current approaches out there in the market? Well, for many of you who work within businesses, you may have undertaken a materiality assessment where you gather information from your different stakeholders based on what they think the priorities should be for the business. And you often start with a blank piece of paper and then start populating things. And you end up with a grid with some of the goals coming out as important. And what often ends up happening is a CEO or a senior leader might say, well, that one doesn't look too great over there. Let's bump it this way. Or this one feels like it should be up there. And that's deeply problematic because when we think about the challenges that we as a society face today, they're huge. And not only are they huge for people and planet, and the way that we do business has many, many negative impacts on people and planet. But actually, as we transition towards a more sustainable economy, I think what we're seeing with net zero and the sustainable development goals is creating a lot of risks and opportunities for businesses that can actually really understand what these challenges are. So how is what we're suggesting different from that materiality assessment? Well, if you think about it, starting with a blank piece of paper is making your life very, very difficult. Okay, what we say is, let's start with a set of properties or goals, as I'll explain shortly, and that future vision. Where is it that we as a business want to get to? How does this align with a future fit society, a society that is, as I said, environmentally restorative and socially just and so on and so forth? Let's think about what a business should look like there. And then let's come back to the present and say, okay, where are we now? Undertake a baseline analysis to say, okay, which goals are we currently focused on? Where have we made most progress? And in effect, get a snapshot in time view of our position. And then from there, we can put in place creative solutions and decide on the priorities, all with that broader context in mind. So we're not guessing what the future is going to look like. We're saying this is the future that we want. This is what our future business should look like. And here are the steps that we're going to take to get there. A nuanced view on it, but actually when you hand this to businesses, they feel really empowered. And going through these types of exercises, there's always something that they haven't considered or they've deprioritized for different reasons. So how can we put this into practice? Well, if you think about it, businesses have both negative and positive impacts on people and planet, and those impacts can be both direct and indirect. For a moment, I'm going to focus on the direct negative impacts. Okay. And in that future fit society, a future fit business has eliminated all of its own negative impacts. Okay. Now, we acknowledge that this is, hugely ambitious, hugely challenging for businesses, but this should be the endpoint. And what we've created, and this is based on system science, so this is based on planetary boundaries, societal needs. So, it's based on that underlying science. And it says, okay, how do we take that negative impact and how do we understand whether a particular business is doing well on these things or doing poorly on them? And what we've created is a set of 23 break-even goals. Each of these goals can be measured on a 0 to 100% scale. And it includes everything from energies from renewable sources, operations emit no greenhouse gases, all the way through to employees are paid at least a living wage. So this covers a broad range of environmental and social goals. And it also includes a set of goals that are labeled drivers at the bottom, which is really about how companies can influence more broadly through procurement, through their financial assets, and so on and so forth. Okay. So the really important thing to say is this is hugely ambitious, and there are very few, if any, businesses that can really say they're 100% on all 23 break-even goals. So one of the first exercises that we do, and that I alluded to on the previous slide, was we walked through kind of a prioritization exercise with them. Which of these goals are you likely to be causing most harm on? Which of these goals do you have a solution for? And where's the disconnect between those two things? So fundamentally understanding, where should I focus attention today? Okay. And it won't be on all 23. It might be, 6, 7, or 8, depending on the business, depending on what you're actually doing. So those are the 23 break-even goals. As I mentioned before, impacts can be both positive and negative. So let's focus on the positive side of things. Okay. Getting to 100% on all 23 break-even goals is going to take, 5, 10, maybe even longer, maybe take decades on some goals for some industries. So what can businesses do in the meantime to help accelerate that transition to a future fit society? Well, any business can create positive impact itself. It can amplify the positive impact of others, or it can help reduce the negative impact of others. Okay, all of these things actively accelerate that progress towards a future fit society. Okay. And what we have here are a set of 24 what we describe as positive pursuits. Okay. And look at these as more buckets of categories of activities that businesses can undertake. And actually, when you dig into this process and seek to focus in on the areas where a business can truly add value, you actually see that most businesses can only really focus on 1 or 2 of these goals. And that's completely fine. I think one of the challenges that we've got in this space, particularly when we think about the sustainable development goals, is everyone wants to say, I hit 24 positive pursuits or however many SDGs. And very rarely do businesses say, okay, what am I really good at? Where am I best placed to add value? And I'm going to focus there, because that's where the real opportunity for me to add value is. Okay. So you don't have to hit all 24. It's really about focusing in on the areas where you can contribute most. So I just put this slide up just to say that FutureFit is being used in a variety of ways across the world right now. It's being used by businesses large and small, from companies to banks to investors. And these are just some of the more recent examples. LD Pensions, a Danish pension fund, released the first FutureFit investment mandate. So their investment managers are a pension fund. Their investment managers have to manage the fund with a view to the positive pursuits. Tourism Holdings Limited is a tourism company in New Zealand, and they integrated FutureFit into their integrated report. And finally, we've been working with the UN Global Compact to deliver a series of workshops on the SDGs, thinking about prioritization across those SDGs. And these are just a few examples. We've worked with a number of large businesses to go through, and stress test their current strategies and work through the actions that they should take. One example that I want to spend a little more time on is our work with Virgin Money. It's a UK headquartered bank. And what we've been working with them on is the Sustainable Business Coach. This is available in the App Store, on Apple, and also on Google Play. And you can download it for free today. But in effect, we've been working with Virgin Money to take the really comprehensive, deep guidance that's contained within the FutureFit Business benchmark. And we've streamlined it into a questionnaire that takes somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour. And the problem that it was trying to solve is that Virgin Money has, it's got a very large loan book. But what they were finding was that many of their particularly smaller companies were struggling to understand where they should focus their attention when it comes to environmental and social issues. Many of these were very small businesses, had very small teams. Many had a handful of people in their team. How could they begin to dig through the vast array of information that's out there? So we worked with Virgin Money to streamline this process down to create an app that all of their customers can go through, and it's actually open to any business in the UK to use. But they can go through this and understand out of the end of it, what actions can I take tomorrow to make progress across these issues? Okay. And the tool is set up in kind of three parts. The first part is around prioritization. Now, this is all about understanding what types of activities the business is currently undertaking. Is it a services business to operate in an office, or is it a mining business? And then based on those activities, and not the steps they've taken to mitigate their impacts, solely based on what activities they undertake, the tool then prioritizes across the 23 break-even goals and then asks them a set of performance questions. So the second section of the tool is a set of performance questions, which is a set of yes/no answers to understand the progress a business has made towards mitigating their negative impacts. Okay. And then the third section then provides them with actionable guidance that says, okay, based on your performance questions, these are the types of actions that you should think about taking. And it points to other guidance, both on the tool and elsewhere, to help them learn more. Okay. And we've got fantastic feedback so far from the businesses that have used the tool. A lot of them have found it very thought-provoking in helping them understand issues that maybe they hadn't thought about before. But it's also creating a big opportunity for those businesses because Virgin Money has tied the use of this tool to their sustainability-linked loans. Okay, so for businesses borrowing at least £250,000 and scoring a certain amount on the tool, their sustainability-linked loans will have no arrangement fees. And they've just started Virgin Money to roll this out, and they're hoping to build this out in the coming 12 to 18 months and get a larger proportion of their loan book using the tool and then receiving this discount. So I'm going to finish it there. We've got a discussion after this where we can dig more into some of these challenges. But just to say that our materials, the FutureFit Business benchmark is available freely on our website. You can go to futurefitbusiness.org and you can explore the guidance that we put together on the break-even goals and the positive pursuits. And we also have a community that you can sign up to where people are sharing information, we're asking questions and figuring out how we as a group of organizations can bring about change. So to summarize very, very briefly, I think businesses have a challenging time right now in prioritizing the positive and negative impacts that they should be focusing their attention on. I think the FutureFit Business benchmark provides a way to begin thinking about the actions that can be taken today. And something like the Virgin Money Sustainable Business Coach can actually, help you, as a smaller business in particular, take steps in half an hour to an hour to understand where you're at. So I'll hand back to the panel. Happy to take questions as we go through, but thanks again for inviting me, and I look forward to the discussion.